Hello, students. How are you all? Welcome to this evening lesson. My name is Ibukunoluwa of FBCO, like my students at First Field College call me. So today I want to do an explanation on data security, a topic in data processing for SS2 students. So let's look at some basic information like what data is. What is data? We're looking at data security. So what is data? Data is information in a form suitable for storing and processing by a computer. So that data is simply any particular information that a computer can store and process. That's basically what data is. For example, list of SS3 students. If I type the list of SS3 students on an Excel sheet in a computer, that's a data, that's an information. So data security is also called cyber security. In case you see that online, data security is also called cyber security. Because cyber has to do with anything internet or computer related. So look at what we are looking at. This is the pictorial view of data security. This can padlock all your information, YouTube, Google Plus, and so on. Look, this is a picture of a padlock now, so to secure something. So let's look at what is data security. What is data security? Data security is the practice of keeping data protected from corruption and unauthorized access. So data security is the process of keeping data protected from corruption and unauthorized access. You have a piece of information, you don't want it to be corrupted, you don't want any form of information to miss from it, and you don't want some people to even have access to it. You secure it. That's the meaning of data security. The focus behind data security is to ensure privacy while protecting personal or corporate data. The focus behind data security is to ensure privacy while protecting personal or corporate data. For example, now a company will not want anybody or any outsider to know about the profits or a kind of information about them. So that's one of the reasons they must secure their data. It is a means of putting in place the different form of information. It is a means of putting in place the different form of information. Security controls. Data security controls, or protects the database against compromise. It also protects the database against compromise. Again, to just make sure that it has integrity and it's always available and the confidentiality rate is very high. So that's the meaning of data security. This is another picture that shows what we're talking about. All the information on the computers here are secured. Reasons for data security. Reasons for data security. Number one, risk assessment. Why do we secure data? For risk assessment, this will enable you to identify the risk you are faced with and what could happen if valuable data is lost through theft, malware, infection, or a system crash. So risk assessment. The reasons we always secure data is because we know the risk attached to it. Once the data is lost through theft, maybe somebody enters or gain access into the computer and extracts information. Malware, that's all this computer virus, makes the information unaccessible, or even when the laptop or the desktop gets spoiled, that's a system crash. Then securing data. The reason for data security is to secure data. Since data can be compromised in many ways, the best security against misuse or theft involves a combination of technical measures, physical security, and a well-educated staff. You should implement clearly defined policies into your infrastructure and effectively present them to the staff. So is to secure data, and a particular well-experienced staff is always in charge of securing the data of the company. Types of security control on the data. We have access control. That is types of security or data security. So we have number one, access control. These are all your notes in which you've written in the class. So let's look at some explanation. Access control. It is the selective restriction of access to a place or other resources. The act of accessing may mean consuming, entering, or using. Permission to access a resource is called authorization. So for example now, if anybody is not part of the accounts department of a company, he or she does not have access to the payroll system or payroll details or payroll data of that company. So that's mean of access control. Let's look at auditing. Auditing. Database auditing involves observing a database so as to be aware of the actions of the database users. So database administrators and consultants often set up auditing for security purposes. For example, to ensure that those without the permission to access information do not have access to it. They do not, that means they don't go into the system. So this is always put in place by consultants and administrators. There's a way they audit. Auditing has to do with checking, a kind of investigation. So that's another way of securing data. Look at access control and look at that security audits. Checking, putting in place that people that are securing data are doing the right thing. Authentication. It is the validation control that allows you to log into a system, email or blog account. So once logged in, you have various privileges until logging out. Some systems will cancel a session if your machine has been idle for a certain amount of time, requiring that you prove authentication once again to re-enter. You can log in using multiple factors such as the password, smart card, or a fingerprint. This kind of authentication applies to banks. For example, any of you, Destiny, Odige, I'm talking about my students now, watching this particular video. If you pick up a bank app now, and you will first request for your password. It will first request for your password. In the class I will show you what I mean. It will first request for your password, and once you are logged in, you'll be able to check your account balance and stuff like that. But once you don't use the app for some minutes, it will tell you that the session is has expired. So that's meaning of that authentication. Encryption. This security mechanism uses mathematical scheme or algorithms to scramble data into unreadable text. So it can only be decoded or decrypted by the party that possesses the associated key. So encryption, that is in form of a kind of linkage. Encryption has to do with the linkage. So for example now, once you encrypt your email together, there's a way that once you log in, you also get a kind of confirmation on another email address. For this authentication, you can just pick up your parents' mobile phone and open their mobile app. You will get a proper view of what authentication is. So look at authorization or authentication. You can see that username and password. Then once you do that, it will tell you to log in. Data encryption, linkage. It has to do with linkage. Once you encrypt your data, any kind of access. For example, now once you encrypt my data, if I have multiple email addresses on Gmail now, once I log into one, I can also get or confirm what has happened using another email. So that's the meaning of encryption. So look at the encryption. Encryption in cybersecurity is the conversion of the data from a readable format into an encoded format. Encryption in cybersecurity is the conversion of data from a readable format into an encoded format. So encrypted data can only be read or processed after it has been decrypted. Encryption in cybersecurity is the conversion of data from a readable format into an encoded format. So that's the meaning. Then we have backup. This is the process of making copy or archiving of computer data in the event of data loss, which is used to restore the original data. So for example, this issue of backup now, for example, just go on your phone, you see Google Photos. If once you create your account on Google, you'll be able to have Google Photos, and once you snap picture, it will kind of do a backup of all your pictures. So that's been a backup, and you can even save in or do backup in Google Drive too. Google Drive. I'm going to show you everything in class. Google Drive and Google Photos. Let me check, maybe I can just quickly bring up my phone and display what I mean. Yeah, I want to show you what I'm talking about using my phone, so that you can understand better. Yeah, let me show you. Yeah, these Google Photos now. These Google Photos, and all the pictures you are seeing there are on backup. Because once I snap picture on my phone, I can automatically back it up. Then let me show you an example of what I mean by that particular authorization or authentication. Okay, so look at an app of Sterling Bank now. An app of Sterling Bank is still booting. So once I click on the app on my phone, it will bring out some information that I need to carry out. It's been slow. Okay, let me. Yeah. Okay, let me try. Maybe first bank will be faster. So I want to show you a kind of practical section of what authentication is. I want to show you a practical section of what authentication is, so that you can understand what I'm talking about. All these are phones sometimes can be very funny. Can be very, very funny. So good. Look at it. Look at what it's displaying now. Look at this login. So for me to log in now, I can use this thumbprint since it was my account. Or once I click on login, look at it now. It's telling me to enter my password. You can see it's telling me to enter my password. That's mean of authentication. Once I enter my password or I use the thumbprint, I'll gain access into my app. I don't want you to see my account banner, so I will not log in. So that's mean of authentication. We have a password, like I showed you earlier. Now on the phone, it was requesting for my password. Look at this one now. This is requesting for my password, and which is kind of in a PIN. PIN is personal identification number. So this is what is showing me now. You can see a form of data security, because they don't want anybody to have access to my account. So for that, because this is my bank account, anybody, including fraudsters, must not just have easy access to it. So now it's asking for my PIN, which is variable like my password. So I can see now, password is a sequence of secret characters used to enable access to a file, program, computer system. So secret characters can now mean numbers. In like this case now, it can be letters, special characters like logos and icon, like all these arts, dots, comma and stuff like that. So that's what it means. You have an evaluation here, to explain data security and explain the types of security control on data that you know. So explain data security and explain the types of data control on data that you know. Types of data control that we've mentioned, like a recap. We talked about backup, password, encryption, authentication, access control, security audit. Those are examples. So this is the first part of the explanation class. I'll see you in the next class. I'll see you in the next class for part B of this class. And this is an advert of career discovery club. I'll talk much about that during normal school session. This is a picture of this small boy, this uncle that is talking. And you can also visit this website to access tutorials from Rainbow Stars Tutorials. And this particular video is brought to you by First Field College, EJIGBO. So parents should endeavor to always, get along and enjoy other services that the school offers to them. My name is Ibukunoluwa of a teacher with Fort Millerfield College, and I'm on behalf of my co-colleagues saying bye bye for now and see you in the next class. So students, see you in the next class. Bye for now. Yeah, bye bye.